Welcome, deep divers. Have you ever found yourself anxiously eyeing your bank balance late at night?
Oh, yeah. Or maybe watching a stock market graph tumble and feeling that knot of dread.
Exactly. Most of us have been there. We often think getting rich or, even just managing money well is purely mathematical.
Right? Like it's all formulas, spreadsheets, maybe needing a genius level IQ.
But what if the truth is far more
It
human?
really is. Today, we're diving deep into Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. And this isn't your typical finance book.
No complex algorithms or stock charts here?
Nope. It's about us. It explores the fascinating, sometimes illogical ways our minds, our emotions, our personal histories shape every financial choice we make.
And our mission for this deep dive is to unpack some of Housel's most impactful lessons. These aren't just like dry facts.
Not at all. They're insights that could genuinely reshape how you think about saving, spending, risk, success, even happiness.
All by focusing on those deeply human elements behind every dollar decision. So let's get into these powerful ideas. Okay, let's start with something I think we've all done. Have you ever looked at someone else's money choices? Maybe splurging on a fancy car or buying lottery tickets every single week?
Or maybe just totally avoiding investing.
Yeah. And you think, what on earth are they thinking? That seems completely irrational.
Right. It looks crazy from the outside.
Yeah.
But Housel's core insight here, and it's brilliant, is that people aren't crazy.
Okay.
What seems irrational or even crazy to you is often deeply rational for them. Their financial decisions are fundamentally rooted in their own unique life experiences.
Experiences, emotions.
Exactly. The world they grew up in, they're basically operating from a completely different reality than you are.
That really reframes things, doesn't it? Imagine two kids. One grows up during a tough recession, sees their parents stress about bills, maybe job losses.
Yeah, real anxiety.
And the other grows up during an economic boom. Money's flowing, things feel stable. Fast forward 20 years. How could their views on risk or saving or investing possibly be the same?
They just couldn't be. Their felt experience is absolutely key. Reading about financial stress is one thing.
Totally different from living it.
Totally. Feeling that panic of maybe not making rent or, the quiet shame when your car gets declined at the grocery store, those intense emotions often just bulldoze any logical data or advice.
And this applies generationally too, right?
Hugely. If you turned 20 in the 1990s, when the stock market was soaring, you probably developed a pretty strong belief in investing. It seemed like a sure thing.
Makes sense.
But if you hit 20 in the 1970s, stagnant market, high inflation, you might see stocks as incredibly dangerous, maybe for your whole life. The year you were born can literally hardwire your financial worldview.
Okay, so what about something like lottery tickets? Statistically, it seems like a terrible idea, especially for people with lower incomes.
From the outside, absolutely. From
Yeah.
a purely mathematical view, yes. But Housel suggests, for someone really struggling, that ticket isn't just gambling.
It's something else.
It's buying a moment of hope, a dream, a little fantasy of a different life, even if it's just for a day or two. It offers this tangible escape that pure math just doesn't capture.
So the takeaway is less judgment.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Spend judgment, not just of others, but maybe even of our own past choices. Ask, what story was I believing back then? Or what story are they telling themselves? It brings empathy into finance, which is pretty rare.
Building on that empathy,
Hmm.
have you ever made a money decision that didn't make perfect mathematical sense, but it just felt right?
Oh, for sure.
Like maybe paying off a low-interest loan early,
Yeah.
or keeping way more cash than the experts say you should just because it helped you sleep at night.
Yes. And this brings us to another crucial distinction Housel makes. The difference between being rational and being reasonable.
Rational versus reasonable. Okay.
Rational is making decisions for the absolute highest possible statistical return, like the way an economist would optimize a spreadsheet. Pure numbers.
Got it.
But reasonable. That's doing what helps you sleep at night, what aligns with your personal comfort, your values, your fears, because, well, we're humans, right? Not finance robots.
So the super rational person might take extra cash and invest it instead of paying off a low-interest mortgage early, hoping for higher market returns.
Textbook rational move.
But for a lot of people, the psychological weight lifted by just being debt-free, that feeling outweighs any potential extra percentage points they might have earned.
Precisely. Housel uses the analogy of a workout plan. The absolute best plan on paper, the most scientifically optimized. If it's too strict or just makes you miserable, you won't stick to it. It's useless then.
Right. The best workout is the one you actually do.
Exactly. And the best financial plan isn't the one optimized for maximum theoretical return on a spreadsheet. It's the one you can consistently follow for years and years.
The one that gives you confidence, keeps you calm.
Helps you sleep soundly. That's the goal. So don't chase perfection based on someone else's math. Aim for what's reasonable for you. Aim for consistency and peace of mind.
Okay, let's shift a bit and talk about something that can be, well, a little uncomfortable. This idea that success isn't always just about skill and failure isn't always just a mistake.
That there are these powerful, often invisible forces shaping our financial lives.
Exactly. Luck and risk.
Yeah. Housel highlights that luck and risk are really just two sides of the same coin. They're these external forces, totally outside our control, that have a profound impact on our outcomes.
And ignoring them leads to problems.
Big time. It leads to false confidence when we succeed, thinking it was all us, and unfair judgment of others and ourselves when things go wrong.
He uses Bill Gates as an example, right? We see him as this tech visionary, pure genius.
Which he clearly is. But Housel points out a crucial piece of luck. Back in the 1960s, Gates had access to a computer at his high school.
Which was incredibly rare then.
Like 1 in a million, Housel calls it, a massive head start. That luck, combined with his brilliance and hard work, helped launch Microsoft.
And he contrasts Gates with his friend, Ken Evans.
Yeah, Ken Evans. Equally smart, shared the same passion and drive. But he tragically died in a mountain climbing accident before they could really get going. It's a stark example of how risk can just abruptly end potential. Luck gives, risk takes away.
Wow. That really puts it in perspective.
And it's not just famous people. He tells the story of Ronald Reed, the janitor and gas station attendant who quietly saved and invested his whole life and died with, what, $8 million?
Incredible compared to Richard Fusone.
Right, the high-flying Merrill Lynch exec, Harvard-educated, lived large on debt, seemed super successful until the 2008 crash wiped him out completely.
So it wasn't just about intelligence or credentials.
Not at all. Luck and risk play huge unseen roles in both stories. Housel has this powerful quote, "Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose."
That's a sobering thought. So if luck and risk are such big factors, how should we think about financial success or failure in ourselves or others?
I think it just means we need to be incredibly careful with judgment. We need to acknowledge that sometimes what looks smart was actually just really lucky.
And what looks stupid might have just been bad luck or taking a reasonable risk that didn't pan out.
Exactly. It introduces a necessary dose of humility, I think.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's pivot to another trap. That little voice inside. The one that whispers, "Is this enough?" Have you noticed how the goalpost for enough just seems to keep moving?
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
You reach one goal and almost immediately a new, higher one appears.
It never ends.
Housel calls this the dangerous trap of never enough. And it's fueled primarily by social comparison, constantly looking at what others have.
And this links to the man in the car paradox.
Directly. Think about the story of Rajat Gupta, former CEO of McKinsey, huge success, net worth over $100 million.
You'd think that's definitely enough.
Right. But he apparently felt small, surrounded by billionaires. And that feeling that not enough drove him to insider trading. He ended up in prison, lost everything.
Just unbelievable. Or Bernie Madoff.
Another perfect example. Already incredibly successful, respected in the industry, yet he built one of history's biggest Ponzi schemes because, presumably, even that wasn't enough.
Housel's quote here is so potent. To risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need is foolish.
It really cuts through it. And that social comparison thing, it's relentless. You make $100,000, but your coworker makes $200,000, and suddenly your perfectly good salary feels inadequate.
It creates this endless ladder where someone always has more, like being at a buffet.
Yeah, he uses that analogy. You feel totally full, satisfied, then you see someone else walk by with lobster, and suddenly you feel like you're missing out.
So you go back for more, even though you don't need it.
And end up feeling sick and regretting it. That's the never enough cycle.
Okay, explain the man in the car paradox connection.
Right. So when we see someone driving a really fancy car, or wearing extensive designer clothes, Housel argues we rarely admire the person.
We admire the car.
We admire the car or the clothes. More accurately, we imagine ourselves having that thing. We think, wow, I bet I would feel great driving that car. The admiration is directed at the object as a symbol of something we desire for ourselves.
We think people are admiring us when we have nice things, but they're really just admiring the things and imagining themselves with them.
Pretty much. It's a subtle but crucial distinction.
So what's the antidote to this whole never enough trap and the paradox?
The most critical step is defining your own enough, drawing a line in the sand for yourself, understanding what truly brings you contentment, independent of what others have or think.
And realizing that true respect doesn't come from flashy possessions.
Exactly. It comes from qualities like kindness, humility, integrity,
Yeah.
stuff you can't buy. That helps you avoid taking foolish risks, chasing something you don't actually need.
All right, let's talk about actually building wealth now. What would you say is the single most powerful force for building lasting wealth? And hint, it's probably not a massive paycheck or some super complex genius investment strategy.
Yeah, the answer is surprisingly, well, maybe even a little boring. Housel calls it confounding compounding
Confounding compounding. Why confounding?
because its power is almost invisible in the short term. It doesn't feel like much is happening day to day or even year to year sometimes. It's easy to dismiss.
Over the long haul.
It's like magic.
Yep.
It's the quiet, slow, yet unbelievably potent force in wealth building. It's less about how much you earn or save and much more about how long you let that money grow. Time is the key ingredient.
Warren Buffett is the classic example, isn't he?
The ultimate example, something like 90% or more of his enormous wealth was actually generated after his 65th birthday.
Wow. Not because he found some secret late in life.
Nope. It's because he started investing when he was like 10 years old, and he just stayed in the game consistently for decades upon decades. His real superpower isn't stock-picking genius necessarily. It's time in the market. Patience.
He uses the snowball analogy, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Ah.
A small snowball rolling down a very long hill starts incredibly slow, barely picking up snow, but over time it gains momentum, gets bigger and bigger, eventually becoming this unstoppable avalanche.
But our society loves quick wins, instant gratification. Compounding is the opposite.
Totally. It's the ultimate long game. It rewards patience and consistency far more than it rewards brilliance or complexity or trying to time things perfectly.
So the takeaway for listeners is you don't need to be a billionaire or a finance wizard to use this.
Absolutely not. The key is simple. Start as early as you reasonably can. Be consistent with saving and investing, even if it's small amounts, and just stay in the game. Let time and patience do their heavy lifting. That's really it.
That's powerful. Okay, so building on that, is getting rich the same skill as staying rich? We tend to think of them as the same, but Housel argues they're actually quite different.
Yeah, he makes a very clear distinction. He says they are two fundamentally different skills.
Oh, so?
Getting rich often requires optimism, taking risks, maybe being aggressive, having a strong ambition to sort of attack the market or your career.
Okay, that makes sense. Drive.
But staying rich, that requires a different mindset entirely. It requires defense, it demands survival, caution, humility, and maybe most importantly, avoiding catastrophic losses. Not losing what you've already built.
It's like that poker analogy you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. When you start, you might make big, bold bets to build up your chips. But once you have a huge stack, your primary goal shifts to protecting those chips, not necessarily doubling them again with a risky bet.
He talks about Jesse Livermore, the famous trader, made a fortune in the 1929 crash.
Billions in today's money.
Yeah.
An incredible feat of getting rich.
But then he couldn't shift gears.
He couldn't switch to defense mode. He kept making bigger and bigger, riskier bets, fueled by overconfidence, and eventually lost everything. He didn't master the art of staying rich.
So what traits are crucial for staying wealthy, according to Housel?
He highlights three main things. Frugality, which is just consistently living below your means, not letting lifestyle creep inflate with wealth. Humility, acknowledging that luck played a role in your success and that you're not invincible.
And the third.
And a healthy dose of fear, or maybe paranoia is a better word. Just enough worry to prevent you from doing reckless, stupid things that could wipe you out. It's about survival.
So for you listening, it's about mastering both sides of the coin. Build with ambition, yes, but protect what you build with wisdom and caution. Sometimes the smartest financial move isn't chasing more returns, but pausing to protect what you already have. Now, here's a question I think a lot of people grapple with. What's the point of saving money if you don't have a specific goal for it right now? Like saving for a rainy day, but what if the rainy day never comes? Or saving for a house down payment, but maybe you decide you don't want a house.
That's a great question, and Housel has a really powerful answer. He argues the purpose of saving money isn't always to spend it on something specific later on.
It's not just deferred consumption.
Not necessarily. He says its deeper, more fundamental purpose is to give yourself options, flexibility, control over your time and your future. In a way, saving buys you freedom.
Okay, I like that. So it's like building a safety net, not because you're planning to fall, but just because life is fundamentally unpredictable.
Precisely. You don't know what's coming. A sudden car breakdown, an unexpected job loss, maybe a health issue, or even a positive thing, like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that requires capital.
Saved money lets you handle those things without panic.
Exactly. Without resorting to high-interest debt, without derailing your long-term plans. It provides this quiet confidence, this background hum of security, knowing you have a buffer to handle. Well, whatever life throws your way.
And this links to his idea of room for error, right?
Directly. Life almost never goes exactly according to plan. There are always unexpected twists and turns. Think about planning a tight flight connection with absolutely no buffer time.
Yeah, one little delay and you're toast.
Right. Or think about your phone battery. You don't wait until it hits 1% to charge it, do you? You charge it well before that because you anticipate unexpected heavy usage or maybe not being near a charger later. You build in room for error.
And history is full of huge, unexpected events that nobody planned for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The 2008 financial crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, things that came out of nowhere, relatively speaking,
Yeah.
and completely reshaped the world and people's financial lives. No forecast predicted those.
So the advice for listeners is,
Embrace saving, even without a specific goal. Save for the sake of having options, flexibility, and peace of mind. And build that room for error into all your financial plans. Expect the unexpected, create buffers. It's not about being pessimistic. It's about being smart and resilient in a world that's inherently unpredictable.
okay, let's get a bit personal here for a second. Think about yourself, listener. How much have you changed in just the last, say, 5 or 10 years? Your goals, your values, what you want out of life?
Probably quite a bit, right?
Yeah, likely a lot. So here's the question Housel poses. Why do we then assume our future selves will stay exactly the same when we make these super rigid, long-term financial plans decades out?
It's a great point.
Yep.
And why do other people's financial choices often seem so bafflingly different from what we would do? This touches on a psychological quirk. Housel calls the end of history illusion. We readily acknowledge how much we've changed in the past.
But we tend to think, okay, now I'm pretty much set. I won't change much more going forward.
Exactly. We underestimate future change. And this absolutely connects to the reality that everyone is playing a completely different financial game.
That makes so much sense. Like, if you're 25, meticulously planning every detail for the specific beach house you want at 55,
Uh-huh.
your actual 55-year-old self might want something totally different. Maybe more time with grandkids, or pursuing a passion project, or just simplifying life. That rigid plan could feel like a prison then.
Totally. Plans need flexibility. They need room to evolve as you evolve. And when you look at others, you have to remember their game might be completely different from yours.
Like some people are day trading, trying to make quick bucks.
While others are investing for retirement 30 years from now, some are trying to build generational wealth to pass on. Others just want to save enough to quit a job they hate next year.
It's like running a marathon. You wouldn't suddenly start sprinting to keep up with someone who blasts past you.
Because you have no idea if they're running a 5K or just sprinting to the next water station. You stick to your own pace, your own race.
And social media just makes this worse, doesn't it?
Oh, massively. You see these curated highlight reels, the amazing house bought at 25, the super early retirement. You only see the shiny outcome, never the hidden risks, the crushing debt, the failures, or the different goals they might have had.
So what's the core advice here for listeners trying to navigate their own financial path?
Build strong financial foundations, yes, but keep them flexible. Acknowledge that you will change. Your goals will change. And crucially, define your own financial game. Understand your time horizon, your risk tolerance, your unique goals, and resist comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel. True financial success is about winning your game, whatever that looks like for you.
This leads perfectly into maybe the most intriguing part of the book, Housel's own confessions. What does the guy who wrote the book actually do with his own money?
Yeah, it's fascinating. And his confessions really drive home his central message. Personal finance is exactly that, personal. Meaning the most important financial decisions aren't made purely on spreadsheets. They're made around dinner tables, considering family, your own unique circumstances, your future hopes, and crucially, your emotional need for peace of mind. There's no single correct formula that applies to everyone.
And he's pretty open about his own approach, which seems guided by one main goal.
Independence. That's his ultimate financial goal. The freedom to do what he wants, when he wants, with whom he wants, for as long as he wants.
And he got that from his dad.
Yeah, he tells a story about his father quitting a high-stress medical job, taking a huge pay cut, simply to regain control over his time and reduce stress. That clearly made a massive impact on Housel.
So how does that translate into his and his wife's actions?
Well, a key thing is they consciously decided not to let their lifestyle inflate just because their income grew over time. They started simple basic apartment, used car, and largely kept it that way, focusing on saving the difference.
Resisting lifestyle creep.
Exactly. Because they valued independence more than fancier stuff. It allowed them to save a very high percentage of their income, accelerating that path to freedom. It forces you to ask, what do I truly value most?
He even shares what many finance experts would probably call his worst or most irrational decision.
Right. Paying off their mortgage completely, even when interest rates was super low.
Mathematically, you could argue they should have kept the mortgage and invested that money, aiming for higher returns than the interest rate.
That's the textbook rational move. But for Housel and his wife, it wasn't about the math. It was the emotional decision. The feeling of being completely debt-free provided immense psychological value, peace of mind. That was worth more to them than potential extra investment returns.
That really underscores the personal aspect. What about holding cash?
Yeah, another unconventional move. They keep a significant portion of their assets, maybe around 20%, in cash. Far more than most advisors would recommend.
Why so much cash?
He calls cash the oxygen for their lifestyle. It gives them extreme flexibility. It covers emergencies without forcing them to sell investments at a bad time. It lets their invested assets compound undisturbed. He quotes Charlie Munger. The first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. Cash helps them avoid interruptions.
And his actual investing strategy? Anything complex?
Quite the opposite. He admits he used to pick individual stocks, but eventually moved to a much simpler approach. Just low-cost U.S. and international index funds.
Passive investing?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Prioritizing consistency, broad diversification, and avoiding unnecessary risk over trying to beat the market. Simple, sustainable, and lets them sleep at night.
So the ultimate lesson from Housel's own approach, for you listening,
It powerfully reinforces that there is no single right answer. The best financial plan is the one that helps you sleep well at night. The one that aligns deeply with your personal values, your goals, your tolerance for risk, and gives you that essential peace of mind. It's about doing what feels authentically right for you, not just what looks right on paper, according to some expert. Hashtag outro.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the psychology of money, it really feels like the core message is clear, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems true financial wisdom isn't just about crunching numbers or understanding markets. It's maybe even more about mastering the human side of money.
Our own behaviors, our emotions, the personal stories that drive our decisions.
Exactly. So maybe take a moment after this to reflect on your own financial story. What values are really driving your money decisions? Are you chasing a definition of success that isn't truly yours?
Or are you consciously charting a course toward your own authentic version of financial well-being and freedom?
Yeah.
And maybe here's a final thought to carry with you. Consider not just what you want your money to buy you in terms of stuff.
But think about what kind of life you want your money to enable. Is your current financial story leading you towards that life? Or maybe it's time to pick up the pen and start writing a new, more intentional chapter.